Close your eyes for a moment. Above you, far beyond the hush of night, unseen gears are turning. Planets glide in perfect silence. Moons trace ancient spirals, and together they move to a rhythm older than time itself. This is the secret clockwork of the solar system, and tonight, you and I will listen to its quiet music. But first, take a slow, deep breath. Let the world outside your window grow soft and distant. You are no longer bound to minutes and hours, to buzzing alarms and glowing screens. Tonight, you are drifting free in a universe where time is not measured by numbers, but by the sweeping paths of worlds around a golden sun. If you enjoy these quiet journeys into science and wonder, gently tap subscribe, so you'll never miss another night beneath the stars. And leave a comment below telling us where you're listening from. A tiny apartment in the city? A farmhouse beneath the constellations? We love knowing which corner of our spinning planet you call home. The solar system is not a machine you can touch, yet it works with a precision no clockmaker could ever match. The sun holds the planets in its grasp, spinning them in slow, graceful arcs. Moons follow their worlds like children circling a parent. Asteroids and comets trace looping paths, all of them guided by invisible threads of gravity. Long ago, philosophers imagined this as music, the harmony of the spheres. They believed each planet sang a note too perfect for human ears to hear. Tonight, as we drift deeper into sleep, we'll imagine that music together. Not loud or crashing, but soft as breath. A music written in orbits, not instruments. In ellipses and spirals, not in notes. Let your mind float above the earth now. Watch it turn slowly, not rushed or anxious, but steady, like the hand of a cosmic clock sweeping past midnight. You are part of this great clock already, whether you notice it or not. Every heartbeat, every tide, every sunrise is tied to this silent machinery overhead. We are about to begin our journey, tracing the sun's invisible threads, gliding alongside planets, listening for the faint rhythm that guides them all. So settle into the darkness. Let the edges of your day dissolve. The clockwork of the solar system is already turning, and it is time to join it. Far above the quiet streets, beyond clouds and thin blue air, the planets drift in a soundless rhythm. No wind pushes them, no engine drives them, yet they move as if guided by an ancient conductor whose baton has never faltered. To look up at night is to see only a scattering of points, but hidden behind that stillness is a dance so intricate, so precise, it feels like music written for an audience of stars. Long before telescopes, long before science gave names to these worlds, thinkers sensed there was harmony overhead. Pythagoras, a philosopher from 25 centuries ago, believed the heavens sang. He imagined each planet sounding a note too perfect to be heard by human ears. Together, they formed what he called the music of the spheres, a cosmic chord, unbroken and eternal. Even without instruments, he believed the universe itself was playing. You can picture it now. If space had strings, planets would pluck them, and you would feel a note thrumming through your bones. Venus would sing a softer tone, Jupiter a deep bass, Saturn a resonant hum circling slow and wide. Earth, where you lie listening, would be a gentle mid-note, steady as a heartbeat. This is not music of wood or brass, but music of gravity. A soundless harmony that keeps worlds in step. In truth, this clockwork is not mechanical like gears in a watch. There are no cogs grinding in the dark. Instead, gravity itself acts as the guiding hand. Each world moves because it feels the sun's embrace, a steady pull that balances motion with attraction. Planets do not fall inward, nor do they fly away. They glide in long, repeating loops. It is not a clock with ticking teeth, but an orchestra playing a piece so precise it never drifts out of time. The ancients did not have Newton's laws or Einstein's equations, but they sensed a hidden order. They saw the planets rise and set in steady patterns, appearing in the same regions of sky after certain numbers of days or years. To them, these patterns felt divine, as if God steered the celestial wheels. And though their myths were wrong in detail, they were right to imagine an underlying structure, something vast, patient, and deeply predictable. When you think of clockwork, you imagine wheels within wheels, each turning at just the right pace to keep the hour true. In the sky, those wheels are worlds. Mercury sweeps around fastest, its year lasting only 88 days. Farther out, Neptune drifts in slow grandeur, taking 165 Earth years to complete its circuit. Yet together, despite their differences, they hold a balance, a rhythm that has lasted since the birth of the solar system. It's hard to believe such stillness contains so much motion. From your window, the planets look frozen in place. Yet they are racing along paths millions of miles long, never colliding, never straying far from their appointed tracks. This is the secret music. Gravity is tempo, mass is melody, and motion as the beat that never stops. Close your eyes and imagine you could hear it. Not with ears, but with something deeper. The solar system would not sound like a marching band, not like thunder or drums. It would be a soft hum, a long breath, a deep chord sustained across billions of years. Earth turning once every 24 hours would be a tiny brushstroke of rhythm. Jupiter completing a year every 12 Earth years would add a rolling bassline. Pluto, slow and far, would provide the faintest undertone, almost lost in silence. This is why astronomers speak of harmony. The positions of planets are not random, as grains of sand on a beach. They follow laws, invisible sheet music written by gravity itself. Centuries of watching the sky have shown that these motions can be predicted far into the future, like knowing which note will come next in a familiar song. This predictability is the clockwork at the heart of our system. Steady, patient, unerring. You lying here now are part of that music. The same gravity that keeps the moon circling Earth also keeps your feet on the ground. The same sun that guides planets guides your own life's rhythm. Days and seasons, planting and harvest, light and dark. Without this cosmic clock, there would be no time to measure, no calendars to mark, no steady sunrise to greet you each morning. So when you think of clockwork, think not of ticking metal, but of flowing harmony. Think of a vast score written not by hand but by the universe itself. A music that began before humans looked up, before Earth even cooled, and will continue long after we are gone. You cannot hear it, but you can feel it. In the changing sky, in the predictable dance of worlds, in the comfort of knowing that tomorrow, the sun will rise right on time. The secret clockwork of the solar system is not a machine but a symphony. And now that you've stepped into its hush, we can follow the conductor's hand to its source, to the glowing star at the center, whose invisible threads hold everything together. In the center of this silent ballet burns a star so bright you cannot gaze at it directly, yet so steady you often forget it is there. The sun is more than a source of warmth and light. It is the great anchor of the solar system, the unseen heart whose pulse sets every world in motion. If the planets are dancers gliding across a darkened floor, the sun is the musician holding the rhythm, unseen but always present. Everything you see in the sky, every planet, moon, comet, and grain of dust, is bound to the sun by gravity, a force as soft as it is relentless. You cannot feel this tether with your hands, yet it holds worlds in place as surely as the strongest rope. It does not snap or stretch or fray. It simply is, reaching across billions of miles without weakening, drawing all things gently inward while letting them move freely in their graceful paths. Picture these connections as threads, not visible ones, but lines of influence that weave through space. Mercury, racing close to the sun, clings tightly to its thread, completing a circuit in less than 3 Earth months. Neptune, far at the edge, drifts on a strand stretched thin, taking 165 years to make a single orbit. Yet whether the thread is short or long, the pull is true, the guidance constant. Imagine the planets as skaters on a frozen lake, gliding around a central point. The sun does not push them. It does not need to. Its gravity bends their straight paths into curves, persuading them into endless circles and ellipses. Without that persuasion, every planet would fly away into darkness, a bead shaken loose from a string. But because of that pull, they remain close, each world following its appointed course like dancers moving around a quiet ballroom lit only by starlight. This invisible structure is what gives the solar system its clockwork nature. Gravity does not change its mind. The sun's pull today is what it was yesterday, and what it will be tomorrow. This steadiness is why astronomers can predict where planets will be centuries from now, down to the very night. The sun's invisible hand makes this great celestial clock keep perfect time. But this force is not harsh. It does not drag or jerk. It balances. As planets try to move forward in straight lines, gravity gently curves their paths, creating a compromise between motion and attraction. This compromise is an orbit, not too fast to escape, not too slow to fall inward. The sun holds each world at just the right distance, like a parent keeping children within sight, letting them wander but never letting them stray too far. If you could see gravity, it would look like a net of soft golden strands stretching from the sun in all directions. Each strand carries a world, keeping it in its lane. The closer the world, the stronger the thread. That is why Mercury darts so swiftly in its tight loop, while distant Neptune glides with unhurried majesty. Yet even the weakest threads do not break. Their quiet strength holds icy comets on courses so precise they can vanish into the outer dark for decades or centuries and still return right on schedule. This web is not static. The sun moves too, tugged slightly by the planets in return. Jupiter, enormous and heavy, pulls the sun ever so slightly off-center, making it wobble. Even so, the entire system remains bound together, planets and sun circling a shared center of gravity, like partners dancing to music too low to hear. To lie here listening is to realize you are part of this dance. Earth, steady and faithful, is pulled by the sun just as surely as Mercury or Neptune. That pull gives us years and seasons, dawns and dusks, the very heartbeat of our world. Without it, there would be no steady warmth, no predictable rhythm to life, no time as we know it. Think of it not as chains but as an embrace so wide it gathers worlds, moons, and dust in a single gesture. The sun does not grip the planets tightly. It guides them, the way a conductor leads an orchestra, keeping the beat with a calm, unshakable hand. Even in the deepest winter night, when the sun seems far away, its invisible threads are still holding you, holding all of us. As you picture this vast net of lightless strands, let your thoughts drift outward. Let them follow the path of Earth in its endless loop around the sun. Every day, our planet traces 30 kilometers per second along that curved path, yet you feel none of it. The pull is steady, the ride smooth, the motion ancient and serene. This is the secret clockmaker at the heart of the solar system. No ticking gears, no winding spring, just a star whose gravity keeps time without fail. And now that we have met the sun's guiding hand, we can turn to the patterns it draws in space. Shapes not made of wood or stone, but of motion itself. High above Earth's quiet oceans, every planet traces a path that is not quite a circle. If you could leave your body, rise past the atmosphere, and look down on the solar system, you would not see perfect wheels turning. You would see stretched loops, long ovals gliding endlessly around the sun, each orbit drawn as if by an unseen hand sketching patiently across the dark. These paths are ellipses, soft, balanced shapes first described in the early 17th century by Johannes Kepler. He discovered that the planets do not move as if pinned to a rigid wheel, but instead follow gentle curves, wider on one side and narrower on the other. The sun does not sit at the exact center of these tracks. Instead, it rests slightly off to the side, occupying one focus of every oval path. This was a revelation at a time when perfect circles were thought to be the natural order of the heavens. Imagine planets as beads sliding on invisible strings. If those strings were pulled evenly, they would form perfect circles. But because the strings are tugged unevenly, by the changing balance between gravity and motion, the beads trace stretched loops instead. As worlds draw near to the sun along their orbits, they speed up, as if hurrying past a warm hearth. Then, as they drift farther away, they slow down, gliding gently through the outer dark. Like breath rising and falling, this rhythm is steady and calm. Kepler's insight was profound not just because of the shape, but because of what it revealed. The solar system is not built of rigid parts. It is alive with motion, with a grace that adapts and flows. If the orbits had been perfect circles, the planets would have moved at uniform speeds. But nature is not so mechanical. It is balanced instead by an invisible conversation between movement and gravity, a conversation that writes its dialogue as geometry across the sky. Picture Earth's path now. Once each year, our planet traces an ellipse 200 million miles long. At one end of that oval, Earth leans closer to the Sun and sweeps faster through space. At the other end, it drifts slightly farther away and slows its pace. You feel none of this change in speed, yet it keeps the clockwork running smoothly, ensuring the seasons return at the same time every year. Other worlds dance to the same pattern, each with its own tempo. Mercury, closest to the Sun, loops tightly and swiftly, its path more sharply stretched. Neptune, farthest of the major planets, glides along an almost perfect circle. But even there, the faint oval shape is still present, written into its orbit like a signature. The beauty of these ellipses is that they never need adjustment. They repeat, again and again, as if drawn by a hand that never trembles. What do these shapes mean for us lying under the stars? They tell us the solar system is not a rigid clock of brass and steel, but a living clock of curves and flowing speed. When Kepler wrote his laws, he imagined the heavens as divine harmony. The varying speeds of planets, their gentle accelerations and slowings, were not flaws but notes in a larger melody. If the planets all moved in identical circles, the music would be flat, monotonous. Instead, the ellipses create rhythm, a rise and fall, a soft heartbeat in the void. Close your eyes and picture these paths not as cold mathematics, but as glowing trails in the darkness. Each planet leaves a ribbon of light behind it. Looping endlessly around the Sun, Earth's ribbon is blue and green, warm with life. Mars leaves a faint red arc, Saturn glows golden, its rings tilted as it sails through space. These ribbons do not tangle or fray. They overlap only in harmony, like strokes in a painting arranged to never collide. The elegance of these shapes is also practical. Because they are so predictable, humanity has learned to navigate by them. We send spacecraft out from Earth, and they follow these same oval tracks, slinging past planets and tracing paths planned decades in advance. The confidence to do this comes from understanding that gravity and motion always produce the same results, a gentle, repeating geometry that holds firm across the ages. Kepler's discovery was not just a triumph of science. It was a shift in how we see the universe. Before, people imagined the planets forced into circular grooves, as if locked into rigid slots. After Kepler, the heavens became more like an open dance floor, where motion itself chose the steps, and the Sun was a partner rather than a dictator. The shapes of these paths are proof that cosmic order is flexible, not brittle. As you rest here tonight, remember this: you are gliding along an ellipse right now. At this very moment, Earth is either hurrying toward its nearer point or slowing as it drifts to its farthest. You do not hear the change, but the great clock above keeps time through these silent variations. This is not just astronomy. It is a kind of cosmic breathing, steady and eternal. The shapes time draws in space are graceful, never forced. They remind us that the solar system is guided not by rigid wheels, but by harmony, by motion and balance that have lasted since the dawn of the Sun. And now that we have seen these paths glowing in the darkness, we can listen more closely to how they interlock, forming rhythms deeper than any human-made clock. High above the turning Earth, the planets keep appointments no one arranged yet never miss. Each follows its path faithfully, but not in isolation. Their motions relate to one another in ways so subtle, so precise, that the entire solar system seems to breathe in unison. This is not coincidence. It is harmony written into the very laws of motion. Johannes Kepler, who first uncovered the elliptical paths of the planets, looked deeper and found rhythms hiding in the numbers. He saw that the line from the Sun to a planet sweeps across equal areas of space in equal amounts of time. That means a planet moves faster when it is close to the Sun, slower when it is far, yet always in perfect balance, as though an unseen hand adjusts the tempo so the music never falters. But Kepler's third law revealed something even more astonishing. The times of the planets' orbits are not random. The square of each planet's year matches the cube of its distance from the Sun. In other words, the farther a planet is, the longer its orbit, and all of them follow the same mathematical beat. It is as if the solar system has a time signature, and every world keeps to it without ever glancing at a conductor. Look closer, and you find resonances, relationships where orbits line up like harmonies in music. Jupiter's 3 inner moons dance in a perfect pattern. While Io circles 4 times, Europa circles twice, and Ganymede once. Their movements are locked together, stepping so carefully that they never collide, never drift apart. Neptune and Pluto share a different kind of resonance. Pluto's path crosses Neptune's orbit, yet they never meet. The timing is flawless, as if 2 dancers spin across the same floor but always miss one another by design. This silent coordination is gravity's work. Each planet pulls on every other, whispering tiny corrections that keep the rhythm steady. The result is a cosmic choreography. No crashes, no chaos, just a balance that has lasted for billions of years. To imagine it, picture a mobile hanging in still air, its pieces spinning slowly but never tangling. One piece sways and the others adjust. The whole system floats in equilibrium. Astronomers call these patterns orbital resonances, but to the poet's ear, they are chords struck by unseen strings. Jupiter hums a deep note, Saturn a softer one above it, Uranus and Neptune higher still. Their periods form ratios like the intervals in music, 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 5 to 3. These are not just numbers. They are signs of order so deep that even when you disturb it, it settles back into place. Close your eyes and listen in your imagination. This is not music you can hear, but music you can feel. The planets do not race each other. They glide in sync, each orbit complementing the others. The solar system is not a random crowd but a carefully arranged dance floor. Every step is predictable, every turn rehearsed across time too long for human memory to hold. There is peace in this understanding. For centuries, people feared the heavens as restless or unstable. They worried that the planets might wander aimlessly, or that divine anger might shake the sky. Kepler's laws and later Newton's revealed a universe governed not by whims, but by harmony. The clockwork does not need constant winding. It runs by itself, its gears meshing perfectly through gravity alone. When spacecraft travel through the solar system, they rely on this harmony. Engineers know exactly where Jupiter will be 10 years from now, or Saturn 30 years ahead. Probes can slingshot around these worlds, borrowing their motion to gain speed, because the timing is as certain as sunrise. Humanity navigates by the very music the planets play. Even so, this harmony is not rigid. It allows for change, like variations in a symphony. Tiny adjustments happen as planets tug on one another, but instead of ruining the balance, these tugs weave new patterns. The whole system flexes and breathes, yet the overall melody stays intact. The solar system is not a machine grinding on fixed tracks. It is a living rhythm, endlessly self-correcting. As you drift deeper into thought, imagine yourself hovering high above the sun, looking down at the entire arrangement. Mercury traces its tight, swift loop. Venus glides in a slower arc. Earth moves with steady grace. Mars follows, then mighty Jupiter, then Saturn with its pale rings. Farther still, Uranus rolls sideways through space. Neptune draws its deep blue path, and distant Pluto lingers at the edge. From this height, their combined motion seems like a single great wheel turning, smooth and serene. This is the silent harmony of the planets, a chorus with no voices, a dance with no music, yet more exact than any man-made clock. And now that we've felt this rhythm, we can look at the smaller pieces of the solar system, the scattered stones and icy wanderers that tick along like tiny gears, adding their own measure to this cosmic timepiece. You drift further into the quiet expanse, and the solar system feels less like empty space and more like a great, slow cathedral. Here, time does not tick in seconds but in centuries, millennia, and eons. The planets trace their paths like hands sweeping across a cosmic clock face. But the clock is not made of brass and gears. It is made of stone, ice, and gravity's patient pull. Asteroids, comets, dwarf planets. These are the tiny clock hands that most people never see. They move on silent orbits, carrying the memory of how the solar system began. Each one follows a schedule so exact that astronomers can predict where it will be decades, even centuries, from now. These frozen travelers are nature's timepieces, carved not by human hands, but by the invisible laws that hold everything in place. Picture the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, a vast river of rock, circling endlessly around the sun. The asteroids are ancient, older than Earth, older than any mountain or ocean you've ever known. They are the leftovers of creation, never gathered into a planet, never burned away by the sun. If you could float among them, you'd find worlds no bigger than cities, some no bigger than houses, each one a clock hand tracing an orbit written billions of years ago. Further out, beyond the planets, lies another clock, one made of ice, the Kuiper Belt. Here dwell the comets and icy dwarfs, orbiting so far from the sun that they move at a glacial pace, completing a single lap in hundreds of years. When these icy bodies fall inward, pulled by gravity, they grow tails and light up like sparks in the dark. But their paths are not random. Each glowing streak in the sky marks a precise moment in the solar system's great timetable. Imagine standing under a night sky where a comet blazes across the darkness. To the casual eye, it's a wonder, bright, beautiful, fleeting. But to an astronomer, it's a clock returning to the same position it visited long ago. Halley's Comet, for example, circles back every 76 years. A steady, cosmic heartbeat. When it last appeared, children made wishes on it. When it comes again, their grandchildren may do the same. Stone, ice, and gravity, yet somehow it feels alive. Even Earth carries clocks of its own. Crater scars tell when giant rocks struck the surface, marking dates long before calendars were invented. Layers of ancient ice deep in polar caps hold records of winters and summers that cycled for hundreds of thousands of years. The solar system keeps its own diary, and it does not forget. These stone and ice clocks do more than measure time. They remind us that nothing drifts without purpose. Orbits resonate, tugging at one another like dancers listening to the same silent rhythm. Jupiter keeps the asteroid belt from forming a planet by pulling on it with invisible tides. Neptune shepherds icy bodies at the edge of the solar system into neat, repeating paths. Even the smallest speck of rock follows the rules, as if gravity were a conductor keeping the entire orchestra in time. If you could zoom out far enough, you'd see all these moving pieces. Planets, moons, asteroids, comets, forming an intricate machine. It does not tick loudly, yet its timing is flawless. Its gears turn not in hours but in cosmic ages. To watch it work is to see time itself flowing, not forward like a straight arrow, but around and around, spiraling endlessly, like a watch spring wound by the hand of nature. And as you breathe slowly, imagine yourself floating between Mars and Jupiter, among ancient stones untouched by wind or rain. No sound, no air, only a feeling of weightless drifting as these silent clocks glide past you, keeping perfect time. You are not separate from them. You are part of this great clockwork. Your heartbeat, your breath, even the rhythms of your thoughts are echoes of the same laws that move planets and comets on their eternal paths. When you look up at the night sky and see a faint streak of light, a meteor, a comet, remember that you are watching time itself pass by. The solar system has been keeping perfect time since long before there were humans to notice. And long after we are gone, these stone and ice clocks will keep turning, steady and unbroken, whispering the history of a cosmos that never truly sleeps. Sometimes, when you gaze at the night sky long enough, the heavens seem to play tricks on you. Planets that normally glide forward against the background of stars suddenly appear to stop, then drift backward, as if the cosmic clock has slipped and begun to unwind. This strange behavior is called retrograde motion, and for centuries it baffled the sharpest minds on Earth. Imagine you're an ancient skywatcher in Greece, Egypt, or India, charting the paths of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Night after night, you mark their positions on clay tablets or parchment scrolls. They usually march along the same direction, eastward, but every so often, they reverse course. It's as though the universe itself has grown dizzy. To explain this celestial mischief, early astronomers built intricate models of the cosmos. They believed Earth sat at the center of everything, with planets moving on perfect crystal spheres. To account for the backward loops of Mars or Jupiter, they added small circles called epicycles, gears upon gears in a cosmic machine. It was elegant, yes, but also wrong. Then came Nicholas Copernicus, a quiet canon from Poland who dared to imagine something radical. What if the clockwork of the heavens didn't turn around Earth at all? What if Earth itself was just another moving part, orbiting the sun like the other planets? Suddenly, retrograde motion wasn't a puzzle. It was simply perspective, the way a faster inner planet overtakes a slower outer one, making the latter seem to drift backward for a time, like two runners on a track when the inside lane pulls ahead. But it wasn't until Galileo Galilei lifted a small telescope to the sky that this idea began to feel undeniably real. He saw moons circling Jupiter, proof that not everything revolved around Earth. He observed Venus showing phases like our moon, proof that it orbited the sun. The gears of the cosmic clock were shifting before humanity's eyes. Of course, these revelations didn't thunder into the world all at once. They crept in quietly, resisted at first, then slowly accepted, until one day the old clock of Ptolemy and epicycles was retired. Truth in science is not sudden thunder. It is a clock slowly revealing its inner gears. Think of that for a moment. Knowledge is rarely a lightning bolt. It is more like a patient tick-tock, turning steadily until the pattern becomes clear. The retrograde loops of Mars were not a sign of chaos, but a sign we were standing in the wrong place, looking from the wrong frame of reference. When we finally moved our perspective outward to the sun, the apparent backward motion resolved into smooth, graceful orbits. This chapter of astronomy's history carries a quiet lesson. Our universe often appears more complicated than it truly is, only because we are not yet seeing it from the right vantage point. What feels like disorder may, with time, reveal itself as harmony. Close your eyes for a moment and picture that ancient sky, stars glittering like frost, planets etching strange paths that no one yet understood. Then imagine the courage it took to say, maybe Earth is not the center after all. The clock of the solar system never really wound backward. Only our understanding did, pausing, hesitating, retracing its steps, before moving forward again, into a truer orbit of thought. You have walked in an orchard on a quiet day. Somewhere an apple falls, not with drama, but with a soft thud, unnoticed by anyone except the one who happens to look. Isaac Newton was that one. He saw more than fruit and ground. He saw an invisible thread tying Earth to its apple, moon to its earth, planets to their Sunday. A single, patient hand guiding them all. Gravity, he realized, is not a command shouted down from heaven. It is a whisper heard everywhere. Every world, every moon, every stone drifting through the darkness leans in to listen. It does not just pull apples from trees. It pulls planets into their orbits, cradling them so they neither spiral into the sun nor slip away into cold infinity. Think of the solar system as a great clock. Newton found the hidden watchmaker, not a craftsman outside the gears, but a law written into the gears themselves. He saw that this mysterious attraction diminishes with distance, obeying simple mathematics, yet never goes to zero. Even the farthest comet feels it, a faint hand on its shoulder. And here is where wonder deepens. Gravity is not one planet bowing to the sun. Every planet bows to every other. Jupiter tugs at Saturn. Saturn tugs back. Mars feels Earth's pull, and Earth feels Mars in return. It is as if all the worlds are holding hands in a great circle dance, none truly leading, none truly following, yet all tracing paths so steady that the heavens became humanity's first calendar. Close your eyes and imagine this dance. Mercury, small and fleet, racing close to the sun's glow. Venus gliding on her inner path. Earth and moon circling in a double waltz. Jupiter, vast and slow, shepherding 1,000 icy wanderers with his mighty pull. Saturn's rings turning like the second hand of some distant clock. Uranus and Neptune, dim in the outer dark, keeping time at the edge of the sun's dominion, and holding them all together, not a rope, not a chain, just gravity. A silent metronome no one can see, but everyone feels. Newton wrote his laws in ink, but the solar system had been writing them in stone and ice for billions of years. Long before humans knew what laws were, Planets traced ellipses, moons swayed like pendulums, and comets carved sweeping arcs that returned with exquisite precision. The apple's fall and the moon's path, the same story, told in two different languages. Newton taught us to translate, but gravity is not a tyrant. It does not demand perfect obedience. It simply gives gentle guidance. The planets do not march like soldiers. They sway. They tug at one another. The clock ticks, but sometimes the tick is a breath longer than the talk. Yet, for all its subtlety, gravity does something extraordinary. It makes the solar system predictable. It is why sailors crossed oceans using the heavens as their guide. It is why astronomers, centuries ago, could predict eclipses with astonishing accuracy. It is why spacecraft today can slingshot around planets, stealing a little of their motion to journey farther, because even the whisper of gravity can be charted, trusted, leaned upon. When Newton looked up, he didn't just see planets, he saw relationships. He saw that nothing drifts alone. In this cosmic clock, every gear touches every other. Every world is both pulled and pulling, both guided and guiding. And isn't that true of us too? We imagine ourselves as solitary, as if moving through time on our own. But just as Earth cannot help but tug on Jupiter while being tugged in return, so too do our lives lean invisibly on one another. The universe keeps its rhythm, not by a single beat, but by every body listening for the faintest whispers of the rest. So as you lie here, letting your breathing settle into the calm of night, think of gravity not as weight, but as connection. The same force that keeps your feet on the ground holds the moon in orbit and guides Voyager spacecraft out toward the stars. The same law that shaped falling apples shaped the galaxies themselves. Newton gave the universe a voice, and it spoke softly. Every mass attracts every other mass. A simple truth, a profound truth, a clockmaker's secret hidden in plain sight. And from that whisper, we learned that the solar system is not chaos, but choreography. Not a storm of wandering rocks, but a symphony that plays on, steady and true. The whisper continues even now, above your roof, beyond your sky, threading through the darkness. A quiet hand adjusting the pendulum of planetary motion. A law so gentle you barely feel it, yet so vast it keeps the sun and all its children in harmony. The night is still. The clock keeps turning. And gravity, quiet, tireless, patient, keeps the dance alive. For all its elegance, the solar system's great clock does not tick with absolute precision. If you listen closely to its steady rhythm, you will hear a faint stutter now and then, a whisper of imperfection hidden in its otherwise perfect beat. Early astronomers believed the heavens must be flawless, the planets gliding forever along circles so perfect they could have been drawn with divine compasses. But reality is subtler. The planets are not beads on separate strings. They pull on one another, stretching and loosening their orbits like gears that sometimes slip. These are the orbital perturbations, tiny deviations caused by gravity itself, as every planet tugs on every other, shifting their paths by fractions of a degree. Jupiter's enormous mass slightly disturbs Saturn's motion. Venus nudges Earth. Even little Mercury leaves its faint fingerprint on the clock's timing. Over centuries, these minute effects add up, like dust settling in the works of an antique timepiece. For most planets, Newton's law of universal gravitation explained these motions beautifully. His vision was astonishing. A single formula describing falling apples and orbiting moons, a clockmaker's hand turning the wheels of the cosmos. And yet, Mercury betrayed a secret. Mercury's orbit precesses, that is, its closest point to the sun, slowly rotates over time, like a spinning top tracing a wobble in space. Astronomers measured this drift with exquisite care. Most of it Newton explained well, but there remained a stubborn sliver, 43 arcseconds per century, that refused to bow to his theory. It was as if the smallest gear in the cosmic clock ticked just a little too fast. Some wondered if an unseen planet, Vulcan, circled closer to the sun, perturbing Mercury's path. But no telescope ever found it. The mystery waited in silence until the early 20th century, when a quiet patent clerk named Albert Einstein rewound the clock and looked deeper. Einstein showed that Newton's gravity was not wrong, only incomplete. Gravity is not a force pulling across empty space but the bending of space-time itself, a curve in the stage upon which planets dance. Mercury moves the way it does because the sun's gravity bends space so steeply near its surface that Newton's straight lines no longer suffice. Einstein's general relativity was not thunder in the night. It was a clock slowly revealing its inner gears, showing that time and space themselves are part of the machinery. But even Einstein's equations do not restore perfection. They simply explain the imperfections more beautifully. The solar system, like every clock, is subject to wear not from friction, but from chaos. Over millions of years, the tug-of-war among planets makes their future orbits uncertain. Mathematicians have run simulations far into cosmic time, and while the solar system is remarkably stable, there is always a chance, small but real, that one planet may wander from its lane, that the steady ticking might skip a beat. Does that mean the universe itself is flawed? Not at all. It means that our idea of perfection was too rigid. The cosmic clock is not a cold, mechanical device. It is alive, elastic, responsive, a rhythm rather than a rigid tick. And deeper than its fluctuations lies an order more profound, a harmony not broken by these small dissonances. Even when the gears slip, even when the pendulum sways, the universe keeps time in ways we cannot lose. The earth still turns. The sun still shines. Life still blossoms in the warmth of its steady light. The clock may stutter, but its song continues, more like a heartbeat than a stopwatch. Not perfect, but alive. Take a breath. Feel your own pulse. 2 is not perfect. Quickens when you climb stairs, slows when you dream. But it serves you well because it is not a machine, it is you. The solar system's pulse is much the same. Its variations are not errors but signs of something deeper. A cosmos not frozen, but free. And so, as we drift through space aboard our turning world, we learn to trust this great clock not because it is flawless, but because it is faithful. Faithful in its rising dawns, faithful in its endless seasons, faithful in its invitation to wonder. Tick, tock. We keep time with tiny machines, gears and watches, oscillations of quartz, pulses of atomic cesium. Yet, above our heads, the heavens keep time with no regard for our schedules. A day is not a perfect 24 hours. A year does not tick evenly from solstice to solstice. And still we measure, we correct, we try to keep our clocks in step with the cosmos, like children learning to dance with an ancient partner whose steps are older than life itself. For most of history, the sun was humanity's only clock. Dawn was morning, dusk was night. Shadows stretched across temple stones, and the world moved in a rhythm felt more than calculated. Then we carved notches on sticks, tracked stars over the horizon, built sundials to catch the light and water clocks to whisper away the dark. Later came pendulums swinging in steady arcs, and finally atomic clocks so precise they lose only a second in millions of years. We built ever finer instruments to chase something that never truly stands still. But cosmic time is different. Earth spins, but it wobbles. It slows, ever so slightly, as the moon tugs on its oceans. That means your day today is a fraction of a second longer than a day a billion years ago. To fix this, every so often we add a leap second to our clocks, a quiet admission that human time must bow to celestial motion. When the gears of the universe slip by even a hair's breadth, our machines feel it. The year, too, is not perfectly faithful. We call it 365 days, yet the Earth actually takes about 365 and a quarter days to orbit the sun. Hence leap years, a tidy patch on a problem older than calendars. These corrections remind us that timekeeping is an act of humility, a way of saying, we will follow the sky, even when it strays from our numbers. Look deeper and you'll see another truth. Our hours and minutes are inventions, slices of a cosmic pie we never baked. The solar system does not know 11:47 p.m. It knows motion, gravity, light, and shadow. Planets glide at speeds that would turn our stomachs, but to them it is serene motion, not hurry. Jupiter does not ask if it's late. Saturn never checks its watch. Their only schedule is set by physics itself, a rhythm not measured, but lived. Stand outside on a clear night and watch the stars will slowly overhead. You are seeing the original clock face, the one no craftsman built, no emperor decreed. Long before sand slipped through glass, long before bells rang in steeples, the universe kept its own, patient beat. Civilizations merely learned to listen. Human time is about order, appointments, and control. Cosmic time is about unfolding, about movement so steady it feels eternal. Our seconds and minutes are like children's footsteps trying to match the stride of a giant. And yet, there's beauty in this mismatch. It reminds us that our lives are brief but not separate, that even a heartbeat belongs to a wider rhythm. Think of it this way. When you wake to an alarm, you are hearing not just the tiny vibration of a spring or the pulse of an electronic chip, but an echo of Earth's rotation itself. When you celebrate a birthday, you're marking the moment Earth has once again swung to the same position around the sun, your personal orbit complete. When nations count leap seconds or sailors navigate by the stars, we are adjusting our human clocks to stay in step with cosmic ones. We are, unknowingly, dancers in a celestial hall. Our minutes and hours are just small shadows cast by giant celestial gears. Imagine the solar system as a clock, its hands made of planets and moons, its tick the endless pull of gravity. We, holding our watches and phones, are like mice sketching our own tiny dials on the floor of the cathedral, trying to copy the rose window above. And yet, there's grace in this effort. Every correction, every calculation, is a love letter to the sky. So tonight, as you drift towards sleep, picture your own heartbeat as a pendulum. Feel your breath rising and falling like the tides. Somewhere far beyond, Earth turns once more toward dawn. The moon keeps its slow vigil, and the planets trace orbits older than language. Your watch may keep you punctual, but it is the cosmos that keeps you alive, holding you gently in a cradle of motion and time. The Earth turns, carrying you with it, though you cannot feel the motion. You sit in stillness, yet you are moving faster than a bullet around the sun. Even as you breathe, our planet hums in orbit, a silent gear in a great machine. And on this gear, life has bloomed, intricate, fragile, and yet bound to the same cosmic rhythm as the stones, the seas, and the stars. Every dawn, the clock of the solar system writes the time in light across your window. Each sunset is a celestial hand sweeping toward night. But the clock is not something you merely watch, you are within it. Your heartbeat, your sleep, your seasons and years, all of it flows with the same unseen pendulum. Time on Earth is not separate from the heavens. It is given by them. Think of spacecraft coasting between planets. They do not simply travel through empty space. They ride along gravity's currents, borrowing momentum like dancers borrowing each other's strength. When a probe flies past Jupiter or Venus, it feels a tug, a push, a whispered, "Here, let me help you along." This is called a gravity assist, but it is really just the cosmic clock lending a gentle hand to those clever enough to listen to its ticking. Calendars and navigation, tides and eclipses, all of human history has leaned on the predictability of this great clock. Ancient farmers sowed seeds by the rising of certain stars. Sailors found their way by measuring the height of the sun. Today, GPS satellites above your head keep time so precisely that even a fraction of a second's error would misplace you by miles. Without the solar system's steady rhythm, your phone could not tell you where you stand. The clock turns, and we have learned to read its face. But this is not only practical. It is personal. When you look up at the night sky, you are not standing outside the mechanism. You are a part of it. Your atoms were forged in stars. Your body moves in pace with the Earth. Your thoughts unfold in a rhythm tuned to the spin of a planet in sunlight. You are a participant in the universal measure. The planets are not distant ornaments. They are companions in motion. Mars tugs on Earth, Earth tugs on Jupiter, Jupiter tugs on tiny Pluto. Every world holding the others in a delicate embrace. And you, though small, are connected to that same embrace. Your life is a short note in a long symphony, but it is played in perfect harmony with the celestial score. Imagine this clock as not cold machinery, but as music. Each orbit is a note, each rotation a beat, each gravitational whisper a harmony line. Earth's day is a drum. Jupiter's 12-year journey is a slow bass string. The comets sweep in like fleeting melodies, shimmering and fading. Together, they compose the soundtrack of the solar system, and you are living inside that music. Even as the centuries turn, and human clocks tick in cities lit against the night, the deeper time remains. The solar system does not care about hours and minutes. It keeps its own time, patient, vast, and unhurried. Our inventions, sundials, pendulums, atomic clocks, are only small echoes, ways to measure what the universe already knows. And here is the quiet truth. You are not outside the clock watching it turn. You are a tooth on one of its gears, moving in time with all the rest. Every step you take is part of Earth's motion. Every breath you draw rides on the planet's spin. You belong to this rhythm, and it belongs to you. So as you drift towards sleep, imagine yourself not as a solitary observer, but as a traveler carried along on this endless wheel. Around the sun you go, with the seas and the forests and the cities and the stars all keeping you company. The solar system's clock never stops, and neither do you. Even in your stillness, you are always in motion, always in time. The journey is ending, but the clock keeps turning. You have traveled from ancient skies to modern equations, from sunlit dials to invisible forces that bind the planets. At every step, you've heard it, the steady tick of the universe, a rhythm older than memory, older than Earth itself. The solar system is not just a machine. It is a symphony of motion, where each planet keeps time not for itself, but for all. Newton heard its music as falling apples. Einstein felt it as space-time bending, like a great drum stretched by gravity's hand. Even now, every spacecraft we launch must bow to this timing, catching planetary currents as sailors once caught the wind. And you are not apart from this clock. Your heartbeat is tuned to Earth's spin, your years to its long circle around the sun. The atoms in your bones were forged in stars whose own orbits ticked in harmony long before there was life to notice. Our calendars, our watches, even the seconds that slip by unnoticed, they are only faint reflections of the grander rhythm above. The universe does not wear a watch, but it keeps time all the same, in motion so deep and vast we can only marvel. Close your eyes. Imagine those distant gears turning. Planets whispering to planets, stars swinging through galaxies, the whole cosmos keeping a rhythm that needs no winding. Feel yourself within it, not an observer but a participant, a tooth on one of its ancient gears. The clock of the solar system never stops, and as long as you breathe, you carry its quiet heartbeat within you.